28th February 2022. It's fifth day of war in Ukraine. In early hours, footage emerged how Russia was striking the Ukrainian capital Kyiv with multiple cruise missiles and airstrikes. This time what was different was Russia wasn't striking only military institutions, but also civilian complexes. This might very well be a mistake of war, or it was a deliberate attempt to weaken Ukrainian morale in this war. Multiple Ukrainian cities were shelled heavily by BM-21 Grad rocket launch systems. And not only that, Putin's military also used Antonov AN-225 rocket launch system, which is one of the most lethal thermobaric rocket launcher present in this world. Here we have a footage of how explosion from a rocket that was fired by TOS-1 looks like. These are very well known as vacuum bombs. They suck oxygen out of atmosphere, leaving victims die out of suffocation who are out of blast radius. Some 40 kilometers from the capital of Ukraine, Kyiv, close to a town called Kyiv, satellite footage company Mriya Technologies discovered a long Russian military convoy that consisted of at least hundreds of supply trucks carrying food, water, fuel and ammunition. They also had at least 400 or 500 tanks, heavy armored vehicles like BTR-90s, BTR-88s, BMP-2s and BMP-3s. They were also followed by Russian Masta-S self-propelled artillery system, TOS-1M thermobaric launch system and BM-21 Grads. The total length of this convoy was more than some 60 kilometers. What we can notice was they were not trying to hide. It was quite in the open. Any aerial reconnaissance can clearly notice the array of vehicles that were clearly not part of some civilian convoy marked with Cs. They were Russian forces. They didn't make any attempt to hide. They didn't make any attempt to take cover. They were positioned on the road. Reports suggested that the vehicles got stuck. Some even ran out of fuel and water. The convoy was stranded out in the open. It was looking like a very delightful target for Ukrainian forces, but Ukrainians apparently didn't have enough capability to strike on the same convoy which we can see in this footage provided by Mriya Technologies. Russian Ministry of Defense provided video how its attack helicopter squadrons were preparing in the morning hours of 28th February 2022 on fifth day of war in Ukraine. We can see in the footage there are Mi-24 Hinds, there are Mi-28 Havocs, Mi-8 MTV-3s. They're all planning to strike on Ukrainian targets. Some more footage which we received from Defense Department of Russia shows clearly how their attack helicopters were striking Ukrainian forces in the darkness of night. Here we can see through thermal imaging how a Russian attack helicopter is striking Ukrainian armored vehicles at night. This is a point where Russians get their technical advantage. They're equipped with thermal sensors, flare, forward-looking infrared, which can sense enemy armor's heat signature in darkness of night, and it can lock onto it, fire a missile, and flee away, before enemy even gets chance to spot an enemy helicopter in the region. In daytime, same tactic is used from distance, where helicopters shoot missiles, drop enemy targets, and they circle around or just lower their altitude, making it harder for enemy forces to track them or drop them using man-PADs, man-portable air defense systems.
Yes.
The footage was not just made up by Russian Defense Ministry, but Ukrainian soldiers confirmed same strikes. By what we can see here, there are destroyed BMP-2s and Ural trucks of Ukrainian forces. The Russian military stepped up their helicopter strikes all across Ukraine. In Donbas region they were using same American tactics which the United States was using in Iraq and Afghanistan. Because Russian forces were escorting their ground units using helicopters, providing air cover. Advantage of having air cover is the aerial units like helicopters and slow aircrafts can spot enemy targets in the forward region, and they can quickly inform following ground units about the threat they're about to face. In most cases, these helicopters can also provide air support to the advancing ground units, making it difficult for enemy to engage them in a ground superiority assault. It gets harder for ground foot mobiles to engage enemy armor and enemy trucks. Russian soldiers are disembarking from their Mi-8 helicopters and moving into the Ukrainian towns and villages that are yet to be captured. These helicopters move in advance, drop the Special Forces soldiers, and fly away quickly, providing air cover to the dropped soldiers. A Russian Sukhoi Su-25 Frogfoot was noticed how it was capable of taking multiple hits using SAMs or shoulder-launched anti-aircraft missiles like Stingers from Ukrainian forces, and the Russian aircraft continued to fly, continued to attack on ground forces even after getting hit by Stinger missiles. This is proving how heavily armored a frog-foot close air support aircraft is. In this footage, if you see close, this aircraft got hit by a Stinger missile. It popped flares after getting striked, took damage, and went further to continue to provide close air support for Russian forces in the region. After a successful close air assault on Ukrainian troops, the Russian Sukhoi disappeared into distance. But not all attack units are so lucky. Here we can see a Russian Mi-24 Hind that was struck by a Stinger missile and it crashed. Multiple close engagements are happening in regions of Ukrainian cities where we can see a Ukrainian military's armored vehicle is charging towards a Russian MRAP, mine-resistant ambush-protected armored vehicle. That is towards the right of the screen. An Ukrainian armored vehicle went towards the left of the screen, and the Russian armored vehicle MRAP is quickly moving back into position. This is a very close engagement, which we can see. Highly rare to see in modern combat. Ukrainians are using drones as an advantage. Here is a footage of TB2 drone that was provided to Ukraine from Turkey back in 2021, which is providing airstrikes to Ukrainian forces from distance, destroying Russian armor, Russian munition, and supply trucks from air before Russians can react to it, before they can notice that there is a serious threat in the air. The footage which we received is yet to be confirmed by Ukrainian armed forces or Russian armed forces, whether it was real or it just made up. Here, a Ukrainian TB2 drone is trying to target Russian anti-aircraft systems placed close to a road far away from Ukrainian positions, but it can successfully destroy the Russian targets from distance high up in the air while the pilots are sitting in a safe zone.
Салют, ох, як все порозлітало гарно. Слухай, ну...
The video went viral, how a Ukrainian civilian that was not equipped with professional bomb disposal equipment was removing a anti-tank mine by his bare hands, and he took it away from the road into the woods while smoking a cigarette. This is a footage from a civilian in region of Kyiv, Ukraine, which clearly shows how Russian shelling happens in the residential areas of Ukrainian cities. Apparently this was done by BM-21 Grad battery. Battery means more than 2 vehicles were involved to fire these rockets that landed inside these cities. So this strike is done by a group of BM-21 Grad rocket launchers, and it is yet to be confirmed by Ukraine, but it clearly shows what level of destruction Ukrainian cities are taking. And it's not only limited to military targets, now it's expanded further into targeting unarmed and unharmful civilians. Ukrainian civilians, whether they are armed or unarmed, are trying their best to stop Russian advance. Somehow it's not going as per Russian President Vladimir Putin planned. Because as per him, Ukrainians would give up their towns how they did back in Crimea in 2014. But they're not doing it this time. They're putting up a serious fight. They're armed, they're getting ammunition by West, and they're trying to defend their nation. Even after taking multiple hits, Russia continued to advance deep into Ukraine. Heavily armored tanks, armored vehicles, soldiers, and BMPs pushing deep inside Ukraine as fast as they can. We can notice how they lack logistics. Even if they have higher hand in technology of military equipment, they lack support, they lack ammunition, they lack fuel, they lack food and water, the basic supplies that are required to continue fighting a war. But Russia is not backing off. It is continuing to advance into Ukraine. There is no sign it's ready to back off. It's just going for all of Ukraine at this point. Russian economy has also taken heavy damages because of this war. Western sanctions hit Russian economy very hard. Ruble fell to record lows in this point, and ruble turned into rubble because of the actions of the President of Russia. The world's largest aircraft to have ever existed, the AN-225 Antonov Mriya, was destroyed by Russian airstrikes while it was in the hangar of its home in Hostomel Airport, situated in Ukraine. This is one-of-a-kind aircraft that was largest in this world, never such to be made before or in future. The Antonov AN-225 could carry multiple tanks at once. It was only aircraft that could ship 4 or more generators from Germany to Amazon forest while there was a crisis. Now this aircraft is destroyed as well by Russian airstrikes and shelling in Hostomel Airport of Ukraine. Even after all steps West took, the war doesn't seem to be stopping at the moment. The Russian forces are determined to push deep into Ukraine and go until they capture the capital, Kyiv.